Hello everyone, this is Paige from Mosaic Moments, and I have another episode of Design Breakdown for you. Today we are going to be looking at a 2-page spread of the Serendipity Dies. So these two layouts are not the, we'll say, typical Serendipity layouts. So Serendipity is a 5x5 die, so that's this one, and it can fit in all 4 corners of your layout, and it creates a kaleidoscope look. So that's what's really cool about Serendipity. But this layout is a little more simple and doesn't really have the kaleidoscope effect, but obviously still looks very attractive. So here we have the Serendipity, and then this one I believe is called Sequel, I want to say, and it's a little 2x2 die. And the benefit of it is you can use it with the 5x5 and it'll still get that same shape. So even if I use all 5x5 die cuts, it would have the same shape right here. But with the 2x2, I'm able to fill in the rest of the space with more photos than usual. So that is a great benefit of the 2x2. But on this side, we have 2 5x5 Serendipity dies, which makes a nice embellishment for the layout. So let's talk about why this layout works. So these photos were taken at Jamestown Settlement in Virginia. And these are not my typical colors for something like this. Usually for Jamestown Settlement or other history sites, I probably tend to use more natural colors like greens and browns. And in this case, I went a more feminine direction. The reason for that is because this layout is about 2 sisters. It's me and my sister from way long ago. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to do something different from what you usually do. It's all about telling the story you want to tell. So if you went to Jamestown with your family and you wanted the page to just really say this is about Jamestown, you might choose a brown grid paper and some green cardstock or something like that. But in this case, I wanted the focus to be more about this was a fun time between 2 sisters, so I went with a more feminine color scheme. So something to keep in mind is what story do you want to tell on your pages? And that's going to make a huge difference. That's part of the reason why our scrapbook pages stand out, because we're not just showing photos. We're not just literally telling the story on a journaling block. We are actually taking the elements on our scrapbook page and also telling the story through that as well. So here we have a pink. This is a pink pattern paper that went on top of this other color. This is from our all season grid paper collection. So this background has some pink and some peaches and oranges, and it's very feminine. It also has a lot of distressing, so I really like that because Jamestown is a little more rustic. So even though it doesn't have natural colors, it still kind of has that distressed rustic feel in the paper and gives it personality. So I really like that. And then I'll mention again, you have this darker pink. It's not a super bright pink in this case, but it's contrasting enough and still feels very feminine. And I believe this was, I don't remember if this floral paper is the back of the pink or a different paper in the same collection, but this blue, pink, and floral paper are all from the same pattern paper collection. So that is really handy to grab on an entire collection of pattern paper, so that way you easily have things on hand that can coordinate with even one color that you like. So let's say you like this floral paper, then it might be nice to grab the teal or the pink to go along with it. So that's what I say. If you have like one busier pattern paper, always make sure to grab something a little more simple that coordinates with it, because having something like this that's busier, it's going to need other colors that are a lot more simple to contrast with the busyness. So here I have the floral paper, and I tried to use it a little more sparingly because it'll make the layout feel less busy. So I have it in the 4 corners and in the center here. I wanted the center to have something interesting, so the pattern paper helped with that. So it's not just a boring block of cardstock or something. The pattern paper makes you want to look closer at it. You can see here how it actually makes the pattern paper look really interesting in those design and those spots. So that's pretty cool. But for these sections, I decided to go simple and use another color that's basically just one color. It's not a busy pattern. 2 busy patterns I think would be way too much for the most part. And then here I kept it simple in these sections by just using photos. So this is one photo, and the leaves in these 4 corners are a different photo. That helps me tell the story a little bit because it shows kind of the environment we were in. And Jamestown is filled with a lot of trees. And I really like the contrast on this layout. If you can see the frame here, you can see there's all these fun feminine colors. But if you look at the photos, it's green and browns basically. So another thing I like about this layout is the contrast between all the fun bright colors, and then you look at the photos and it's very natural, very simple color scheme. So even if the paper feels a bit loud, the photos make that more simple. And again, I really love how on this pattern I was able to fill it in with more photos. So that can be really handy if you want to use more photographs on your layout. And over here, I really love this layout actually. It's just a simple row pattern. So this is more of a rotational design. So there's a center and everything's kind of rotating around it. And I think doing another rotational layout might have felt a bit too much. So I really like this very simple symmetrical pattern here. It is 3 different rows, but it's also symmetrical. I still have the same Serendipity die cuts over here. It's filled in the same in everything, but it's only 2 of them and they're right next to each other. And so if you look at this one alone, this feels very, very simple comparatively. And that's what I want too. If one layout feels a little more complex and a lot more going on, I really think it's going to be helpful for your second layout to be comparatively a lot more simple. So you can see the Serendipity is only in 2 spots, and then everything else was made with the basic dies. So I don't necessarily recommend getting another collection out or something that'll make it busy. The basic dies are really great for this. They're really great to use with the level 3 dies because the level 3 dies in reality are going to be more busy. Just in general, they have a lot more going on. So the basic dies create a great contrast and help simplify the layout to relax your eye as someone is viewing the layout. All right, that's all I have for you today. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this layout and if anything stuck out to you in particular. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.